Hey everybody, it's Car Ray Rob, and I'm Ray.
I'm Rob.
And today we're doing our before and after breakdown for the Song to Song trailer. Alright, so Song to Song is a new Terrence Malick movie. Mm-hmm. He is a very productive director recently.
Recently, yeah. Big shift from his first half, if you want to call it that.
Depending on how long he lives.
Exactly, of his career. He went from directing 5 movies in 38 years to 4 movies in 5 years. So.
Yeah, so one every 7 years to one every year, basically.
Yeah.
So he's got to pay the bills, apparently.
I guess he's hard up for cash now. But since he came back in 2011 with Tree of Life, which was, pretty critically heralded.
Yeah, that was kind of his mainstream, like, throw it back at everybody.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, in no way would I call that movie a mainstream movie.
No, but I think
it had Brad
being
Pitt.
a Super Bowl commercial for it or something.
Was it? I don't even remember that. Maybe. But I know Brad Pitt is obviously in it, and he's a name you can bank on. So I think that was why a lot of more people saw that than maybe some of his even more recent movies than that. But one thing I will say, 2012 To the Wonder came out, and that left me wanting.
Yeah. So, what is it, do you think, like, why is it where he had such long gaps before, but now he's busting them out?
Creativity's a hard beast. Sometimes the lightning strikes.
Sure.
Sometimes it's quick, and sometimes it's far apart. And he does a lot of writing and other stuff like that. So I mean, he's written things and produced things and that type of thing.
Is the quality been there then? Like, because you would think when you're taking 7 years to make a movie, you're going to be pretty on point with the direction of the movie.
Absolutely, and for the first, again, call it half. Yes, I think it's all great. He definitely has his detractors. His style was always there, but I feel like it's kind of become a crutch for him since he kind of returned. But the before movies, everything was firing on all cylinders for me.
Right.
But
and that's one thing too. You can have a style when you're only showing it off once every 7 years. If you're going to start showing it off every year, it's going to start to look played.
Yeah, and he's he does. He has that style. Some people call it visual poetry, and I see it. Every one of his movies is arrestingly beautiful. There's no denying that. But when you start relying too heavily on that, you start losing your story. You start losing your audience, and basically your movie, no matter how beautiful it is, starts to feel very thin. Yeah,
and we've kind of said that before, that when it almost comes across, then you're only playing to your audience, and the way that kind of just makes your audience smaller and smaller, and the movies don't do as well. What do you know about this movie, Song to Song? Because it was filmed in Austin, where you used to live.
Yeah, absolutely. And it started actually filming in 2012.
A while ago.
Yeah, right after the release of To the Wonder. And it was kind of a shock when it happened, So they started filming at the Austin City Limits Festival in the fall, and it was kind of almost like a guerrilla type thing. It felt like, I think Christian Bale was just sitting on the side of the stage during one of the takes, and some people weren't sure if he was there to actually just watch the set music, or if he was, and then they saw the film crew, and so obviously everything started to spin out of that. But we didn't get that movie that year or the next year or the year after that.
Right.
He actually has released movies since then. Night of Cups came out. And
would you even cast Christian Bale anymore?
Yeah. And that's the thing. A funny thing about it is his movies, he's got dynamite casts. They are stacked upon stacked. And, even this one, no different. Michael Fassbender, Ryan Gosling, Rooney Mara. There's no shortage of talent in any of his movies. That's never been his issue. But I'm interested to see what he's doing with this movie. One, because it's gestated a little bit longer, and he took a little bit longer to film it.
Maybe he was filming it in real time.
Yeah, absolutely. So
festival to festival.
Yeah, and that could actually help the movie more, kind of akin to his previous, creative flow, and so I'm excited to see it. And because, as Ray mentioned, me living in Austin, I have a special place in my heart for all this.
Let's check it out.
Let's give it a go.
All right, I actually like that trailer. I dug it a lot more than I was anticipating.
I was curious how he would react, in all honesty.
And the main thing that comes across to me is the style, which is not surprising, and it's this style where it's all close up. It looks like it's mostly handheld, and just very natural feeling, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one thing that he's really, as a director, tried to capture since Tree of Life, and he did it in Tree of Life, and really all of his movies, but I think he's more focused on post Tree of Life, is this idea of human emotion, and I think he's exploring it in the close-up. And is it going to work?
That's hard to pull off.
It's hard to pull off.
It can work. It can work for a scene. It can work. You can string a couple scenes together.
Yeah.
But to do that for an hour and a half, 2 hours, that's hard. It's a lot on the cast.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's a lot on the story because it has every scene has to be impactful to show something.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's got top talent working with him. I mean, there's really no question.
Yeah, we saw a lot of that.
Yeah, he's got a lot of top talent.
We didn't see all of it. We didn't see Christian Bale.
Yeah. Yeah. There's people that
we saw Val Kilmer for a shot.
Kate Blanchett is in this movie. Supposedly, I don't see her anywhere. There's a lot of people that you're not seeing. So this is a trailer, but in a way, it was a tease. They are still kind of teasing, but it's a Malick trailer. What are you going to show? You look for what you expect from a Malick movie, and that's what this trailer does.
And it kind of seems like the story for this movie is the visuals. Like the movie is going to be motivated by the visuals, by the by the cast, by the reactions, by the interactions, and that's the plot of the movie is how these guys. It's not so much what the plot is. It's just the plot is the device to show these guys interacting. Yeah,
and sometimes with his movies they are freeform. They have the central storyline that is this is the base plot, but he does travel into freeform a little bit, and with that I think that's where his muddledness comes from, where it's like, okay, like this is my story, but here's my picturesque visuals. And
if the story's not important to you, it's going to show up in the movie at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are a lot of people that he's, as I said before, he has detractors, and he always has. And I think more so recently, those people are feeling somewhat vindicated because he's become so immersed in that particular style that it's basically overindulgence. It's everything that people hate about him turned to 11.
Yeah.
And he's falling flat in some ways because of
I can see, we talked about, why is he making so many movies now quicker together than he was in the past? And it's almost like, he has found this style. Maybe he knows he hasn't hit the home run yet, but he knows he's close and he wants to keep working at it because he's like, let me just do this to the next movie because I'm so close to finding it.
Yeah, there's a couple of different angles for that. Maybe he feels like, I'm running out of time. I'm running out of time. I got to get all this out now. I need to, maybe he's still in his mind chasing that perfect movie. I got to get this done. And, now he's kind of, instead of taking his time and sharpshooting, it's like he's beating it over the head with a hammer and I can do this. But one of the things that I think is really going to work maybe finally since his return is the addition of music. Now it is hard to tell in the trailer
does this just take place in the music industry, or is music interwoven and important to the movie?
Right, exactly. We're still not clear on that. However, I think my guess from what I've seen and what I would imagine he would. I would think he would have to.
And help it work. If we're theorizing correctly here, it seems like music would help this work.
Absolutely. That, and we mentioned before in the before part, the visual poetry, and a lot of people, including Patti Smith, who I understand is in this movie somewhere, she started out basically just reading her poetry to music. So in a way, I think Terrence Malick could really benefit from putting his visual poetry to music. A lot of people connect to music, more so than words or to the visual itself, just the sound. So I think as an audience member, if he's really able to interweave music through this in a way to connect the audience to what he's trying to convey, get that actual human emotion from the screen to the seat, I think he'll finally succeed with maybe something that he's been trying to do since Tree of Life.
Yeah, and I think you might have to be able to pull it off because, like we said, it's a challenging thing. I'm trying to think, recently some movies that have been successful at that. What was Leonardo DiCaprio's last movie that he won his Academy Award for?
Oh, The Revenant.
The Revenant. And The Revenant was one of those movies, too, where it's like every scene looks like it could have been a postcard or something. Like every scene was shot really beautiful. And they pulled that movie off for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it looks kind of, I'm not saying they're doing the same thing, but I'm saying, where it's like every shot is, looks to be inspiring or looks to convey a real message and not just be a shot.
Yeah.
It's hard, but
and it's interesting, earlier in his career, he did rely on the picturesque wide angles, out there, Days of Heaven, on the grain fields, and it was, I feel like he's getting further and further away from that.
And zooming in a lot more.
Oh, absolutely. But it's harder. Yeah. It's harder to do that. Sometimes it's harder to connect when you're in closer. So, so I've seen movies that have done that where they're all right here, but not necessarily because they're trying to convey that type of emotion. It's because the art department doesn't have the budget and they can't fill out the room. So it's like, all right, got to keep it right here because we can't pan anywhere. So
it's a trick of the trade,
right? And that's not what he's doing. I feel like with this at all. I'm really hoping this is successful. I'm actually more excited for this than I've probably been since Tree of Life. Just because I'm a sucker for music. I'm a sucker for really well-used music in movies, and I'm hoping that's what we've got here. Okay. I mean, Iggy Pop is in that trailer. I mean, come on. And I do understand there's a lot of other really amazing musicians
we saw
making cameos.
Shots of them.
Yeah, making cameos in that movie, so hopefully he's got something.
All right, Rob, so let's rate then. What do you think?
I'm going to midnight it.
You're going to let him take you to the dance one more time.
I'm actually surprised. I came into this expecting to be a stream it at best. Mm-hmm. The past couple of letdowns, I didn't think I was going to be as excited about this as I am, but the prospect of the music aspect of it and, obviously my love of Austin and all of that, I think I'm going to do it. I'm more excited than I definitely thought I would be.
I think this trailer's bumped me up one notch too. I think I'm going to stream it, but I actually think I'm somewhere in between stream it and midnight it, but that's not allowed, so I'm gonna go with stream it. But, I like to go to a movie and have fun. And to me, fun doesn't just mean big action, all that craziness. But fun is watching the movie meet its goal, execute what it wants to execute. And if Terrence Malick can do that he did it in the trailer, I think, for me. If he can do that for 2 hours, which I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if his styles can do something to pull it off. Yeah. But if he could, I would have a blast watching this movie because I think it's gonna, if it worked, then it's a home run.
Yeah, it's easy to get burned by him sometimes. All right, everybody, it's time to listen to what you think. Midnight it, stream it, forget it, put it in the comment section below. Do you love Malick? Do you hate him? I want to know. Also, hit the like and subscribe button if you want to watch our next video. Until then, this is Car Ray Rob.
I'm Ray.
I'm Rob.
And nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
Nobody.